So, I wanted to come on here today and talk a bit about Matthew Hussey's new offering, which is called Matthew AI. Uh, for those of you who might not have heard of it before, it's some sort of an AI generated version of Matthew Hussey that is able to answer your dating queries and questions. But before I get into talking about Matthew AI in more detail, I just wanted to address a point that maybe some of you might be wondering about. I have mentioned it in other videos that I've done about Matthew Hussey before, but you might be wondering, why are you talking about Matthew Hussey? He seems harmless enough. What has he ever done to you? Well, the reason that I cover Matthew Hussey is because the man is a scammer. And I don't just mean a grifter. I don't just mean someone who makes money in sort of ways that could be considered a little bit exploitative. I mean, he's actually a scammer and he has been scamming for a very long time. How do I know this? Because I was personally a victim of one of his scams. And that led me down a rabbit hole of investigating whether maybe other people had had the same experience. And I uncovered hundreds, if not thousands, of testimonials on the internet of people who had been scammed in virtually the identical way that I had been scammed. So if you haven't seen any of my other videos about Matthew Hussey's scam, he runs what is called a continuity billing scam. Now that's just kind of a fancy term for a subscription scam. These are pretty common on the internet. How they work is basically you sign up to buy like a single product, or you might perhaps intend to sign up for a subscription, but the subscription itself is either hidden within the purchase of the single product, or else it is a subscription that runs ad infinitum, like as in for eternity, and it's very, very hard to cancel. And the terms and conditions of the subscription are buried like in the fine print of the website, or like very deep where you can't necessarily find them very easily. It's designed to be deceptive, basically. It's designed for people to not be aware when they're making a payment that they are signing up for a subscription, which is very hard to cancel and which is basically impossible to get refunded for. So if you look it up, you'll see, as I said, that subscription scams on the internet are actually pretty common. And Matthew Hussey has been doing this for, as far as I can tell, my research suggests that it's been going on for well over a decade. I was scammed back in 2017 when I tried to buy his very sort of short, cheap ebook. At the time, I was kind of a fan of his work, and I tried to buy an ebook off his website, and I unknowingly was signed up for some sort of a subscription which tried to debit around $60 from my bank account every month. Now, I pushed back pretty hard about that because I'm very stubborn and very persistent when it comes to things like this. And I was eventually able to get a refund, but it wasn't without a lot of sort of rudeness and gaslighting on the part of his customer service team. I had to get my bank involved, and it was just, the whole experience was, very unpleasant and left a bad taste in my mouth. And it turned me off Matthew Hussey right there and then. And I think that was like the first experience that I had with Matthew Hussey, which really sort of woke me up to what kind of a person he really is. This is a multi-millionaire who enjoys a very high profile. He's probably one of the most famous dating coaches in the world. And for the most part, he has quite a sort of squeaky clean image with the public. But that's because a lot of people are just unaware of the scam that he's running. I seem to be the only person on YouTube that has ever covered this, which honestly kind of is quite alarming to me. It makes me feel, I don't know, it's disappointing. I wish that other sort of content creators would stick their necks out and talk about this as well. But in any case, in the meantime, I'm more than happy to cover it. So in any case, he enjoys quite a high profile. He has millions of subscribers here on YouTube. He has a very loyal, devoted following of mostly sort of female audience members. His dating advice is geared mostly towards women. And many of them are just either unaware of the subscription scam or they're willing to make excuses. I'm not quite sure. But I think the probability is that most of his audience are unaware of the scam. But if you dig around on the internet a little bit, you will, as I say, find lots of testimonials from people who are pretty jaded and pretty resentful because they've been scammed. And Matthew Hussey's subscription scams have kind of gone through several iterations over the years. What I've noticed is that he tends to change his offerings maybe once a year or maybe once every couple of years. I'm not quite sure. Maybe he changes up the frequency with which he offers new subscriptions. But at any given time, there will be some sort of a subscription running on his website. Most recently, the one that I talked about was, or not kind of before the current subscription that he's running, which is for Matthew AI. Before that, there was a subscription for Love Life Club. Now, that might still be running. I don't know. There were a lot of complaints about the Love Life Club. I read some sort of negative reviews about it. I did cover it a little bit in some of my previous videos. And so he's kind of changed it up again, and now the subscription is for Matthew AI. And we're going to get into what that is in a moment. But these products or offerings are really just an excuse, in my opinion, to run a subscription, to charge people every month, and to generate a consistent stream of income for his business. Now, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. I'm not necessarily against subscriptions per se. I mean, I am not really one to sign up for subscriptions myself unless I really, really see the benefit. But I don't usually see the benefit in subscriptions. I find that they're usually weighted to provide more benefit for the company than they do for the consumer. So I'm not really a big fan of subscriptions, but I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with him offering subscriptions if he wasn't also being deceptive and sort of scammy about it. You have multiple people who are claiming that it's very, very difficult to cancel the subscription. It's next to impossible to get a refund. And this kind of tracks or kind of jives with what we know about continuity billing scams. That's how they work. They're very, very difficult to cancel. When you try to get a refund, you're typically stonewalled by the company. And that is exactly what Matthew Hussey's organization is like as well. And so that alerts me to the fact that this is probably a bit of a scam. The fact that there are a lot of people who are unhappy with how the subscription is being run and who feel duped, who feel deceived, who feel like it's being run in an unethical way. The other problem I have with Matthew Hussey's, I suppose, his entire approach and with the products that he offers is that I don't see the value in what he's doing personally. I think at best, his advice is often sort of mediocre, common sense, quite honestly, quite sort of trite and just not very deep. That's sort of on the positive side. And at worst, it's very manipulative. And I have covered, this video is not about his content per se, but I have numerous videos on my channel covering the ways in which he tries to manipulate his audience. Almost all his content is is also packed with sort of very high pressure sales tactics, very manipulative sales tactics. Um, he pushes his audience in sort of what to me feel like very emotionally manipulative ways to purchase more and more of his products. And his products are not cheap. And in my opinion, it's all just a cash grab, and it's almost cult-like in the way that it's run, in the sense that it's all centered around the persona of Matthew Hussey. And he really exploits his followers' admiration and respect for him, and he exploits his popularity in order to kind of milk his audience for as much money as he can. Um, and I also don't think that his advice is necessarily in women's best interests a lot of the time. Again, this is something I've talked about on other videos on my channel. I think that it it advises women be to go against who they authentically are a lot of the time. But again, I'm not necessarily going to dive too much into his content, because that is an entire rabbit hole that I could go down. That's a whole tangent I could go on. I could be here all day talking about the problems that I have with his content. I'm going to try and keep this video focused on Matthew AI, which is the latest subscription, in my opinion, the latest subscription scam that he's running on his website. So what I want to do is perhaps just start off by looking at Trustpilot. If you know me, or if you've watched any of my videos about Matthew Hussey, you'll know that I really love Trustpilot. So I've not filtered these reviews at all. I've simply typed in Matthew Hussey into Trustpilot, and let's just have a look at the top reviews, at the reviews in date order. So right off the bat, we see people complaining about Matthew AI. The first review says it's impossible to subscribe by yourself. It's unbelievable that you cannot unsubscribe freely from the Matthew AI from your personal profile. The contact support link within your personal account doesn't work. I lost time looking for ways to unsubscribe by myself, to finally see that you can only unsubscribe by contacting the support via email. It connects you to 2 different email addresses. Looking forward to hearing back ASAP from them, but my hopes are quite low. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, as I've kind of discussed before, people often complain about the fact that even when they contact the customer service team, I should say, that unsubscribing from these subscriptions is very difficult, and often they just have to go through lots and lots of hassle just to unsubscribe. So she's not feeling very hopeful about that. The next review says, disgusting payment continuity scam. Do not use your credit card information. You will be continuously charged whether or not you cancel. And his support team will tell you they don't offer refunds, even if they have wrongly charged you and you cancel within your trial. So essentially theft, vile treatment. So this sounds like someone else who's also had a bad experience with inputting their credit card information into Matthew Hussey's website and being charged, not being refunded, not being able to cancel. This is a complaint we see often. And it's not being addressed. None of these reviews have been responded to by Matthew Hussey's team. So the very next review says, be cautious with Matthew AI. I was charged without my consent, and the company increased the price of the item without notifying me. I contacted them on the day of the charge, and they refused to refund me. The sign-up process was misleading, appearing as a one-time purchase from one of their Instagram adverts. Despite explaining this, they dismissed my experience and concerns. I advise against trusting this company with your credit card information. I contacted them again after they left this comment here, and they just completely dismissed my experience again. I was charged $60 without my consent. So this is what I was talking about before. This is what a lot of people who have complained about Matthew Hussey's websites and his credit card scam. This is what a lot of them are saying. It's misleading. You don't know that you're signing up for a subscription. You go to purchase what you think is a one-time purchase, and they sign you up for a subscription without your knowledge. And then when you try to cancel, when you try to get a refund, you're basically stonewalled, and it's incredibly difficult to cancel or to get your money back. And we'll see this with Matthew Hussey's response also to this review. They say, "Hi, Helene. I can confirm you chose to join the Matthew AI monthly subscription. And we mentioned that sales are final directly on the checkout page." Well, we just have Helene saying that she was unaware that that's what she was signing up for. Why would she say that she was unaware she was signing up for it if she had actually chosen to sign up for it? And I can attest to the fact that they sign you up for these subscriptions when you think you are only purchasing one product. This happens. It is intentionally deceptive and misleading so that they can sign you up for a subscription that it is very hard for you to cancel. This is how the scam works. This is what makes it a scam. It's fraudulent. It's deceptive. So for them to say that you chose to sign up for the subscription, it doesn't hold any water, because we have multiple customers saying that they never chose to sign up for the subscription, and they were signed up without their consent and without their knowledge. So the response goes on to say, "We would never charge you without your permission." Is that so? Because we have multiple customers saying that they have been charged without their permission or their knowledge. They say, "If you have any additional questions, feel free to contact our support team," and they give the email address. Again, we have multiple customers saying that they contacted the customer support team and they were stonewalled and told that they couldn't get a refund, and that they were just kind of blocked every time they tried to cancel a subscription or get a refund. And again, I kind of sound like a broken record here, but that's how subscription scams work. They make it very difficult for you to cancel the subscription or get a refund on your own. They make you contact the organization in order to cancel or to try and get a refund. And then the customer service team just stonewalls you. It's a very kind of old, tried and tested tactic used by scammers. I experienced it. A lot of other people have experienced it. Let's move on to this review. It says, "They couldn't possibly care less about you. Stupidly bought a course, found the course to be irrelevant and tried to return it, but they would not let me because I was a week past the return date. The thing is, my father had died and his ashes were being scattered that month, and frankly, the last thing I was thinking about at the end of that month was that course. I told them this, but I had missed the return by date by a few days, so they were keeping my money. Heartless, in my opinion. Just go to therapy and avoid this nonsense." So these reviews are in very stark contrast to the profile that Matthew Hussey tries to portray of himself on social media, here on YouTube, on TV, of someone who cares about women, who wants to help. This guy is all about money. This guy is absolutely cold as ice. If you don't want to, I understand that this is very difficult for his fans to kind of accept, and I'm not necessarily trying to convert people who really believe that Matthew Hussey is the greatest thing and that he is helping people. But I just encourage you to go and read some of the testimonials and reviews about Matthew Hussey that are out there on the internet. And I also encourage you to look at Matthew Hussey's connections. Matthew Hussey has connections to very questionable individuals, people who support MLMs, very sort of scammy business coaches like Eric Worre and Ed Milet. Matthew Hussey has connections to these people. And in my opinion, Matthew Hussey cares about himself. And, he cares about being famous and making a lot of money and doesn't necessarily seem to be too concerned about the people that he is defrauding and hurting in the process. So let's kind of return to talking about Matthew AI. What is Matthew AI? How does it work? What do we think about it? So I want to just go to Matthew Hussey's website now. So let me just pull this up. Um, just bear with me. Can you tell I'm kind of an amateur? Right. So this is the website that, Matthew Hussey has basically multiple websites, like lots and lots of websites all across the internet. But this was the one that I could find that was talking about Matthew AI. It's talking about how Matthew AI works. So essentially, from what I can gather, this is an AI generated version of Matthew Hussey that kind of speaks to you or texts you. You can phone or text this AI generated person about your various dating questions and dilemmas and get answers based on things that Matthew Hussey himself would say. Kind of sounds pretty gimmicky to me. I imagine there might be limited benefit to it. If you're looking for very kind of basic, common sense, superficial sort of advice, maybe this might be helpful. I don't know. To me, I'd rather go to a therapist, or I'd rather talk to someone in my life that I trust, or if it is just kind of very basic, superficial, common sense advice that you're looking for, you could go onto Reddit or you can Google your dating dilemma and you'd get sort of much the same information for free. So we see some sort of very emotionally manipulative language here, talking, really preying on people's pain points when it comes to relationships. He's saying things like, are you stuck on how to have the what are we conversation in a confident way that gives you the best chance of turning it into a committed relationship? You see this really manipulative, gross, sexist language that kind of assumes that his female audience is just desperate for a relationship, desperate to turn every dating situation into a relationship. It really, really like pisses me off. And then it says, are you seeing their name pop up on your phone screen after weeks of no contact and wondering what it means and how you should respond? Feeling absolutely devastated and broken after a heartbreak and in desperate need of support on how to feel better and move forward? Frustrated that dating app messages never seem to go anywhere and wanting help with crafting fun and flirtatious exchanges that turn into real dates? So what do all these sort of bullet points have in common? They're preying on desperation, anxiety, pain, heartbreak, these very, very difficult emotions that people feel when they're dating or in a relationship. And they're attempting to sort of prey on those emotions in order to turn it into a sale, which I just really hate personally. I know that this is how a lot of dating coaches operate. Perhaps all of them operate this way, but I just think it's disgusting. So it says, with Matthew AI, you'll never again have to wonder, what do I say? What does that mean? Or what should I do? So Matthew AI, Matthew Hussey, will just do all the thinking and speaking for you. You never again have to use your brain, you silly female. Just leave it all in Matthew Hussey's capable hands, and he'll tell you exactly what to think and say and feel, and you can just, turn over your entire, autonomy, your entire personality to Matthew Hussey, and preferably your credit card information and your wallet as well. So it says, ask Matthew AI anything, anytime, day or night, get expert answers immediately, and navigate any dating scenario with confidence and clarity. Well, is it an expert if you're actually talking to a robot? I mean, I think that might be a bit misleading. You're not actually talking to an expert, you're talking to a machine. Um, okay, so it says Matthew AI has been designed to provide nuanced answers to your specific circumstances, making you feel like you're talking to Matthew himself. Well, we all know that there's nothing better on planet Earth than that, than being able to talk to the great Matthew Hussey himself. Sorry, I can't resist that little bit of snark. This man's self-absorption really annoys me. Um, Leverage Matthew Hussey's expertise for practical advice tailored to your unique situation. Always available. Exclusively Matthew's answers. Powered by thousands of hours of Matthew's best coaching materials, nothing else. So I think we get the idea. Matthew AI is essentially an AI generated software program that has been fed hours and hours of Matthew Hussey's content, and it tries to come up with answers to your questions that are like closely related to supposedly what Matthew Hussey himself would say if he was there. Um, Now I want to go over to YouTube. I want to go over to a video where we see Matthew Hussey talking about Matthew AI, and I want to let him explain it. And let's just see what he has to say because I'm nothing if not fair. And I like to give Matthew Hussey the chance to speak for himself. So this is a live that he did a few months ago when he was introducing Matthew AI, and I gathered that he takes a question from one of his followers and lets Matthew AI answer it. And yeah, he just explains the whole concept as well. So let's just have a watch for a few minutes. I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to stomach. So we're just going to go as far, like the entire live is 45 minutes long. I'm obviously not going to watch the entire thing. I'm just going to look at a few minutes of it. And we're just going to see how far we can get with this and what we can potentially learn about Matthew Hussey's intentions with this new product. I'm going to put my headphones in because I learned from the last reaction video that I did that where I forgot to use headphones, it really interfered with the audio. And I'm so sorry that my audio hasn't been that great in previous videos. I'm trying my best to make it better. And yeah, hopefully it'll be better on this video. I'm doing my best. I'm going to get a decent microphone as soon as I can afford it. The one that I want to get is sort of a bit outside of my price range at the moment. But in the meantime, I'm just going to try to improve the audio as best I can. Anyway, let's get on with it. Let's hear what Matthew has to say about Matthew AI.
Technology groundbreaking tool called Matthew AI, which is me in AI.
I just love the way this man he doesn't even try to be humble. He is just right out front and center with his arrogance about his, like, how amazing he is and how amazing his products are. And I suppose you do have to stand behind the products that you have. But in my humble opinion, a lot of this is just hype. I don't actually see it as that great. Let me know what you think. Would you pay money for something like this? Is it groundbreaking? Is it, worth the cost? We are going to look, I do want to quickly look at the cost of Matthew AI. Actually, before we go to this video, let's go back to the website. How much is Matthew AI? I believe it's $19 a month. Let's scroll down, see if we can find the price. Yes, ready to get started with Matthew AI. Just $19. Get 50% off your first month. And it says, importantly, get full access to Matthew AI and start having unlimited conversations today. Cancel anytime. So it says cancel anytime, and yet we have customers on Trustpilot saying that they tried to cancel and they were stonewalled by customer service and that it was not easy to cancel. And that tracks with what I know about Matthew Hussey's subscription scams. People try to cancel. The cancellation process is very complicated, and it doesn't always work. They're usually charged again. Customer service is not very helpful. So if you do consider signing up for this, and I really implore you not to, I implore you not to give your credit card details to this man or to input it on any of his websites. By the way, I think it's a red flag when someone has so many websites. If you just do a little bit of a sort of deep dive into how many websites Matthew Hussey has going on the internet, it will astonish you. And I think that's a red flag. I don't know why anyone needs so many websites unless they are sketchy AF. But anyway, if you do decide that this product is worth it, please just be aware that it could be very, very difficult to cancel this subscription and very difficult to get a refund. So just know that. Okay, so it's $19 a month. So let's see, is it worth the $19 a month? Let's let Matthew explain.
Form answering your questions whenever you need. For anyone who wants to go try this, go to askmh.com. In fact, Jeremy, let's throw up a link for everyone across all platforms, askmh.com, or type in, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, you can literally type in askmh, all one word, ASKMH, all one word, and you'll get a message from me directing you to Matthew AI right now. And you can literally go and ask your question right now. Whatever question you want in the world, if you can think it, you can ask it, and Matthew AI will have an answer for you. So look, I'm going to show you how this works, because those of you that are new to this, it is going to blow you away. Let's see. So this is Matthew AI. And then I'm going to hit call. You can call or text. Both are amazing. If you're in a quiet place, you might want to text, but I love call because, I mean, it's crazy to literally, for people to feel like they're speaking to me is on another level, and it literally has my accent and everything. By the
way, the self-absorption of this man. I don't want to use the word narcissistic because I very recently made a video kind of ranting or venting, if you will, about how I hate that we're calling everyone a narcissist. So I don't want to use that word. But honestly, this man just thinks he is God's gift. The fact that his peasants, the peasants in his audience, actually have the opportunity to talk to a robot that sounds like him, that has his accent. They can feel as if they're talking to the great Matthew Hussey. They can feel as if they touch the very feet of God himself with this Matthew AI tool. I mean, it's just, it's gross to me. It's disgusting. It's so patronizing. He's so full of himself. He is just, I don't know how the self-absorption alone doesn't put people off, but anyway, there are plenty of people who really like this man, and yeah, so he thinks this is great, that the lowly little peons of his female fan following can speak to him. They can delude themselves that they're speaking to Matthew himself via this AI tool. It's very kind of Orwellian, very dystopian, I think. But anyway, you know, I don't know. I just find this really off-putting. I find it off-putting that you have potentially legions of fans who are going to be taken in by this. They're going to feel as if they're talking to Matthew Hussey, because it does sound very realistic, as we're going to hear soon. And it's just going to kind of strengthen that parasocial relationship that they have with him. And like, I don't necessarily think they're going to be thinking logically or rationally anymore. I just find the whole thing is very creepy to me. And the glee with which Matthew says, oh, well, they can actually feel as if they're talking to me. Isn't this incredible? Now suddenly you can feel as if you're talking to me. Like he doesn't even try to hide how highly he thinks of himself. Anyway, let's continue.
Right. We just got a fun fact this morning. We had our first record-breaking call of 4.5 hours. Someone called Matthew AI and had a 4.5 hour conversation with Matthew AI. Isn't that unbelievable?
The smile on his face, he obviously thinks this is a wonderful thing. Some poor person, some poor soul spent 4.5 hours of their life talking to an AI-generated version of Matthew Hussey, genuinely believing that they were being helped for 4.5 hours. This is not healthy. This is, in my opinion, this is not good. This is not a flex. This is not a good thing. But I mean, it's a good thing from his point of view. It means that the scam is working, that people are really being kind of sucked in. But I find it extremely concerning. Let me know what you guys think.
So here we go. Now, here's the thing. This has been trained on all of my content. So this isn't just some random thing. And the reason for me that I'm so excited this exists is because I am never going to stop doing what I do. I'm never going to, Matthew AI is not going to make videos for me or step on stage for me or live coach the way that I am now. It's never going to stop me doing what I do. I love human interaction. In fact, I want to do more.
How do we know that this is an AI-generated image of Matthew Hussey performing on screen? Well, I guess we don't. It's just, we have to just trust that this is actually Matthew Hussey himself and not a hologram of him. I'm just being silly now.
More of it. I want to get out there and see you more. But what Matthew AI does that I can't do is answer the questions of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people individually in a tailored way every single day. Even if I spent all day answering your questions that you send in to me in one day, it would still take me the next 3 years to get through those questions before I moved on to day 2. So this is doing what I can't. All right, let's try this.
You gotta love the way that he really he needs to project this idea that only he is that good, that he is that great, that only he can answer the questions that get sent into him. Only he has the expertise and the knowledge and like just the right way to answer people's questions and solve people's problems in a way that will help them. There's nobody else on the planet. They couldn't go to a counselor or a therapist or to the pastor at their church or to a friend or family member or to a different coach or anyone else. They have to come to him. And he's just one man. He's just one person. And he just can't answer everybody's questions. And so he had no choice but to create this AI version of himself. I mean, it's just the arrogance and the self-importance of this man. I mean, the sheer delusion to think that you are that great, that all these thousands of people just need you so much, and you can't answer everyone's questions. You just wish that you could. This is not someone who is motivated by concern for his followers. Please, this is not someone who is concerned for their well-being. This is someone who is concerned about making money for himself and self-aggrandizing himself. That's all this is about. Please don't get it twisted.
All right, I'm going to put call Matthew AI. All right, now I'm going to allow my microphone. Let's turn my volume up so you can hear. It's Matthew AI. How can I help? Hi, Matthew. My name is Charlie. I wanted your help with something. Could you give me a script to approach someone at work without coming across too intense and risking me getting rejected? Hey, Charlie. Great to meet you. Approaching someone at work can be a bit tricky, but it's definitely doable with the right approach. Here's a simple script you can use to keep things light and natural. Hey, I noticed you mentioned something specific they did or something about their work. I thought that was really impressive. How did you get into that?
Wow, that's profound advice right there. Approaching them and saying, I thought what you did there was really impressive. How did you get into that? Oh, do you see what I mean? This is not profound advice. This is not anything that you couldn't find by asking a question on Reddit or by maybe just going to a friend and saying, what should I do in this situation? Anyway, let's keep going. This way, you're starting with a genuine compliment and showing interest in their work, which is a safe and respectful way to initiate a conversation. It opens the door without being too intense or personal right off the bat. Does that make sense, Charlie? Well, that makes a lot of sense, Matthew. It was really good. What if I don't know them at all? How do I start a conversation with them then? If you don't know them at all, Charlie, the key is to start with something light and situational. For example, you could comment on something happening around you both. It could be as simple as, hey, I noticed you were working on that project. How's it going? Or, I saw you in the meeting earlier and I thought your point about X was really interesting. This way, you're opening the door to a conversation without putting too much pressure on either of you. Another approach is to ask for their opinion on something work-related. People generally like to share their thoughts, and it can be a great way to get them talking. For instance, hey, I'm curious, what do you think about the new project management tool we're using? This shows that you value their input and can lead to a more natural conversation. This is not bad advice, but it's just so basic. It's nothing revolutionary. This is advice that anybody could give you, really. If you just have one person with a bit of wisdom and common sense that you can ask for advice in your life, it would be on par with what you're getting from this AI generated tool. Maybe I'm judging prematurely. We've only seen Matthew AI answer one question, but I am really struggling to understand how this tool can be worth $19 a month and worth the trouble and the sort of frustration and pain that people experience when they're unable to cancel their subscription and they are trying to get refunds and they're being treated rudely by Matthew Hussey's customer service team. I'm struggling to understand how it can all be worth it for this. Again, if I haven't made this clear already in this video, I really believe that Matthew Hussey uses his public image, his public profile, his very devoted fan following, the parasocial relationship they have with him, plus very kind of heavy emotional manipulation tactics in order to convince his followers to purchase things like this, to get them to pay for stuff like this, even though the benefit to them might not be all that great. We'll watch a little bit more, see if it gets any better, but that's what I think about this. Remember, the goal is to make the interaction feel casual and comfortable. Does that help you feel more confident about starting a conversation with them? It does. I have another question, which is, how do I graduate from this and actually start flirting with them, but in a way that doesn't risk me getting rejected?
All right, Charlie, flirting is about creating a playful and light-hearted connection. One way to do this is by using humor and teasing in a gentle way. For example, if they mention something about their work, you could say, wow, you must be the office superstar with all that
Oh, God.
talent.
Wow, you must be the office superstar with all that talent. How cringy. Have you ever heard anything more cringy than that in your whole life? I think we could do better than that if we wanted to flirt with someone. Hopefully, most of us could do better than that. That is like just an insanely basic and cringy thing to say, to call someone the office superstar with all that talent. I don't think that this is good advice. This is not a great opening line. I think most people, if you say that to them, are gonna just kind of smile awkwardly or like maybe feel a little bit embarrassed for you. Oh, okay.
This keeps the conversation fun and shows your interest without being too intense. Another approach is to use compliments but make them specific and genuine. Instead of a generic, you look nice, you try something like, I really like your style.
Who says you look nice? Like, seriously, is anyone being this basic when they're trying to approach someone or trying to flirt with someone? Are people saying this sort of thing? Am I just being too nitpicky? I don't know, let me know.
It's unique and suits you well.
Suits you well?
This shows that you've noticed something specific about them, which can make the compliment feel more personal and sincere. Also, pay attention to body language. Smile, maintain eye contact, and use open gestures. These non-verbal cues can communicate your interest and make the interaction feel more engaging. Remember, the goal is to create a comfortable and enjoyable atmosphere. If you sense they're responding positively, you can gradually increase the flirtation, but always be mindful of their reactions and adjust accordingly.
Well, just remember also, especially if you're talking about a work environment, people aren't able to easily escape. They might just be being polite. They might just want to keep a civil and cordial working relationship with you. So you might be getting positive feedback, or kind of the interaction might be positive, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they reciprocate your romantic interest. So I just wanted to point that out as well. I think, office romances or office flirtations can potentially be a little bit tricky. So I hope that Matthew AI is going to also caution us about that aspect.
How do you feel about trying these techniques, Charlie?
Well, I feel very good, Matthew. If I was single and, it wouldn't upset Audrey, so it'd be extremely helpful. So I mean, firstly, I just want to build on a point there.
Okay, so Matthew AI hasn't given us any sort of cautions about, treading carefully when it comes to flirting with someone in the office. That's a bit disappointing. I think potentially I've seen enough. I think Matthew Hussey himself goes on to give his own feedback about this. I don't think we necessarily need to spend too much time on that. With this video, I just wanted to give you an idea of what Matthew AI is, why you might want to be careful of it, why you might want to be careful of Matthew Hussey just in general. I think you should steer clear of him. But yeah, this is just, in my opinion, this is just the latest iteration of a Matthew Hussey subscription scam. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you've had any experiences with purchasing Matthew Hussey's products or subscribing to one of his subscriptions, if you found it helpful, if you didn't find it helpful. I'm always open to all feedback here on my channel, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, whatever you think. I'd love to hear about it. But I am really just trying to raise awareness about these dating coaches and about how they might be harming you and, hurting you in ways that you might not see coming until it's too late. And this whole sort of financial scammy, fraudulent aspect is just one way. There are lots of other ways that dating coaches can cause harm as well. But that's all I have for today. I hope that you found this video helpful in some way. And as I say, I would love to hear what you think. And I will see you next time. Please take care of yourselves. Bye, everyone.